Good afternoon, Mr. Watson, fellow classmates. This is my video response on nightclub fires, and I'm not going to really touch just on nightclubs and the fires that we talked about during this week's discussion, but also large occupancies that are used in social hangout gatherings at nighttime, primarily with alcohol involved, things of that nature. Every fire that we learned about this week had three major things in common. The size of the occupancy was smaller than the actual occupants themselves. Every fire that we learned about this week had it was a large gathering for that particular night. I'll go down in order and list each fire, but one was a football team was in there plus the other occupants, so it made it large. The last fire that we learned about, had a fairly common, but not common, but popular band at the time, and they just packed them in, get in there, come watch concert. So, and the detection systems, two in the videos you don't hear about detection system at all. The last video that you see, the nightclub or the concert fire, it shows audible alarms, but and visual alarms, but you don't see suppression systems. Means of egress. I remember a study, I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say it was a fairly large amount. It was like 75% of people always leave the way they come into a building, into a structure. You might have 6 doors labeled emergency exit left or right, but it doesn't matter. That your brain automatically thinks, I'm going to leave through the door that I came in, especially in an emergency. For some reason that happens. So that's a little bit of good information, knowing that you see all these people stacked up at one main door. Well, that's why didn't they go through these 6 other exits? So now the first fire that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go ahead and go in order, was the Coconut Grove fire. There was a high volume of people. The ceiling, the first 30 seconds of the clip, the first minute of the clip, she tells you, yeah, the ceiling was made of combustibles. It was made out of cloth. So you automatically think, wow, think times have changed. And then you look through the video and you stop at the pictures and you see palm trees sitting in the middle of the dance floor. This occupancy at the time housed not only just the regular patrons of the bar and of the dance floor, but also Boston College had been visiting there too, and Boston College alone team mixed with regular other patrons. You can obviously tell that the occupancy exceeded its limits that night. Means of egress, again, everybody piling through one door, and then at the top of the awning or where the overlook was, you hear a story about a guy whose means of egress was, they got to the roof but had no way to get down. All these people could not reach to the first floor, or they could actually visually see the first floor and all the commotion going down there, so they looked for a different exit and were met with, no means of egress from the top floor. So, no installed fire protection systems. That would have slowed fire growth down as well. Earlier detection. So, that was the Coconut Grove fire. The Beverly Hills Supper Club fire, means of egress and the inability to actually see exits. You hear a gentleman talk on there. His inability was actually to see other exits. So early detection systems, you had a guy come on stage and tell everybody to leave. There was no audible or visual alarms for any other patron at that time. It was a man came up on stage, came calmly up on stage, asked everybody to leave. Now, this is kind of a catch-22, because you have a guy walking up to the stage. Could everybody just exit? Audible and visual alarms here, along with fire suppression systems in place, with hampered fire growth. Firefighters could make entry due to the point of entry being blocked. Again, the means of egress, you have that door might as well have been a wall, okay, because he just had to start snatching and grabbing and pulling people out. It was just a wall, so you can imagine, what would it take? 20 people to line a door, 20 people to stack a door. How many other people left inside? So that's the Supper Club fire. That was actually the first time I've ever did any research or anything on that fire. It was a very good learning experience. The Station nightclub fire, the level of combustibles alone next to the pyrotechnics, it's pretty fresh. I've done multiple research on this fire. Combustibles next to the pyrotechnics is what caused it. And poor planning. Audible systems are shown as well as visual, but you don't see any suppression actions going on. And then everybody is in a full-on panic. The cameraman backs out. He notices it because I believe he notices it because his job is not only just to watch the band, but his job is to gather everybody's reactions and watch the stage, and he sees it. So he's, goodbye, I'm leaving. So he backs out of there. Everyone's going out the same way they came in. Again, back to that, 75% of people leaving the way they come in. That door might as well have been another wall as well. Suppression activities outside, I believe that the fire department was a little overwhelmed by the amount of people that they would have had to treat initially, along with fire suppression. How many boxes are you going to have to send? How many rescue cars are you going to have to send? Suppression efforts I would say it was 60% involved by the time they got there. So that plays a major part. And then you have so many occupants, and this goes for every fire. You have so many occupants inside, and once they're out, now there's a full-on panic. People themselves, the person is not panicked. People in large groups become panicked. So you have to start, treating patients and fire suppression activities, and now you're calling for a fourth and a fifth alarm, third alarm, the size of this fire. So a lot of command integrity things. You have to worry about the structural integrity of the building itself. Now you have a 60% involved fire. It's going to be a mile, but he has an 1 3/4 line right away. That 1 3/4 line is not going to be doing too much. So things to think about. Water supply, suppression systems in place, things like that, and as well as life safety first of all and foremost. How you're going to get these people out, and the people that are out that are injured, you got to get them triaging ready to go. But those are those 3 fires. Last couple things I had to comment about. I remember we used to do walkthroughs through Ybor City, and it still strikes me to this day. If you go out Saturday night, you walk by a nightclub in Tampa, Orlando, anywhere in major cities, any nightclub actually, and you notice smoke like they're using fog machines. Does it strike it in your head that they have suppression systems activated, or have they found a way around the suppression systems? Because as we know, the way that the smoke detectors actually work inside most of these commercial buildings is that it actually uses a laser and the particles. How are they getting around some of these little tactics to make their nightclub look like it's the place to be? Things like that strike something in my brain. So, but that's my video response, and I look forward to hearing your feedback.